Like what Pena said in that video we watched, if it was up to the engineers, nothing would ever leave the floor.
That's true, because they're perfectionists.
Right. And listen, it's great to be a perfectionist, but one of the things about content today is authenticity. And authenticity means that sometimes you screw up, sometimes you make mistakes, and that's what people are listening for.
Yeah, it's true. Welcome to another installment of the Spin 70 podcast. You just caught us in the middle of a conversation. Hopefully, we're going to continue it as we go. I'm Shalom Makowitz, the host.
I'm Yehuda Makowitz,
The afterthought.
Yeah.
Let's continue this conversation. So we're talking about innovation within the business world. We're talking about the engineers versus the marketers. Why is it that the marketers get more recognition than the engineers? And the thing is, like, if we were to look at it on a Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak scale, right? Wozniak was obviously the brain behind the operation as far as building the computer was concerned, because that was his expertise. But what was it that Jobs brought to the table? Jobs brought the fact that he understood the market of, let's make it less complicated, and let's just give the product as it is, say this is what it does, it doesn't do it any more, any less, and that's the end of it. And he was all about customizable stuff.
Here's what Jobs understood. He didn't go to college, he audited college, right? And what he understood was that technical skill and technical innovation is not for everybody. What the market wants is KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
Damn straight.
Right? He knew about calligraphy, and that was sort of his version of this is customizable because it's simple. It's like choose the font. Easy.
Right. I'm right now reading a book from a recommendation of somebody that I had met with about cryptocurrency called, what's it called? Range. It's called Range. It's about generalization and how...
Generalizing, yeah.
Correct. It's about generalizing and how people who generalize throughout their life end up being more versatile and quicker on their feet when it comes to, whether it's making money or finding a new interest or new hobby. Whereas specialized people, they're going to beat something to its core, and then when there's nothing left to do or they get laid off from their job, they kind of don't know what the hell to do with themselves.
Yeah, and I can definitely relate to that as a writer. Like, right now, I am just I'm deep diving into existentialism and nihilism, and it almost seems pointless, because what I have to do is I have to bring it back to the surface level and sort of translate it into something that everybody can understand.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that when we're talking about specialization, people who are specialized in a certain area, they are mega perfectionists. Now I'm more of a generalist, and I can be a perfectionist in certain areas, so I definitely understand that aspect. But the reason why it's important, what we were originally talking about was about how entrepreneurship is not about the ego, it's more about subsiding the ego and kind of working around the difficulties.
Right, it's sort of a catch-22 that way, because it's like you can't not be an entrepreneur without an ego. And so every entrepreneur you're ever going to meet is going to have an ego, and they're all going to have their own hang-ups. And the thing is that if someone or everyone doesn't decide to be like, okay, he has these hang-ups, I have these hang-ups, let's just work around each other. As I like to say, water on rock, right? Be water on rock. Just
Bruce
work
Lee.
around. That's Bruce Lee?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. But yeah, just work around everybody else's crap. It's like
That's essentially, by the way, sorry for cutting you off there. That's half the battle. Like the thing is,
like, yeah, that's
the-
so much.
in order
of that.
to build something and kind of go against the current being everybody else around you, you have to incorporate a three-dimensional lifestyle. What that means is that you have to be ambitious, you have to be on top of yourself, you have to be disciplined, you have to be able to swallow your pride. The funny thing is that people think that the actual physical workload is the hard part. That's not the hard part. The hard part is swallowing your pride and... Okay, go ahead.
No, I mean, finish your thought, but I have something.
The hard part is swallowing your pride and realizing that if you're working with a team, sometimes you're going to be the one that has to pull the weight. And the truth is, it's difficult. We all have our own insecurities.
And sometimes you're going to be the guy who doesn't know what the hell's going on.
Right. We all have our own insecurities. We all have confidence issues. It's a daily battle. It's an uphill battle constantly. And when we're talking about entrepreneurs, we're talking about people who have no limitations, people who will just keep moving, keep going, keep acquiring more and more knowledge so they can know how to do what they do best. And what that means, what they do best. What does that mean? We're not just talking about business-wise. We're talking about lifestyle. How can I be the best possible person that I could be? And the thing is that part of that is saying, oh, X person has a lesson to teach me. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, I have to recognize it, absorb it, and then come out with my own answer based on what I've observed from that person.
Yeah. So you mentioned a little earlier about, I don't know, nullifying yourself, or what was the word you used?
What was I talking about?
Like getting rid of your ego. You said,
swallowing your pride?
Yeah. So check this out. I was at the mountain today, and I know you hate talking about
We
it.
talk about it too much.
We do.
As
but
far
I
as
mean-
I'm concerned, the people who are listening only think that we work out and bike.
Yeah.
We do
well,
a
I
lot
mean-
more than that.
I mean, the thing is, it's like right now, it's a huge part of my life because this, like, the mountain season is about half over, and I'm really close to my goal. So I'm taking it up a notch. But this morning I went, and something funny occurred to me because, like, I'm doing really well, I think, at the mountain. But then on my second ride up, like 5 people passed me, and I was like, holy crap, I'm such an amateur at this. It's like, it's not even funny how much of an amateur I am, and it's not even funny how much work I have to put in and how much work I'm not putting in.
Yeah, but if I may remind you of something that you remind me on a regular basis, is that the race is long and it's only against yourself. People start at different places, and just because they're starting at a certain place doesn't mean that they necessarily are grasping something that you're grasping on your own.
Right, but something that was holding me back for the last month or so was that I was like on top of the world about my time.
But that's because you were competing with yourself.
Right, but the thing is, I shouldn't have been on top of the world about my time because I haven't been able to get a better time in over a month, and I've done it so many times since.
Well, I don't know if that's so true. I don't think I think being on top of the world was great.
It was.
But I see what you're saying. But you're saying that you weren't humble enough to say, I made it to this point.
I got more work to do.
But I got more work to do.
Yeah, because the thing is, I talked to somebody about it before before the season even began, and they were saying you should be doing it 3 times every time you go.
Right.
And I never did. And the thing is, I realized today that I need to, because I'm never going to break the barrier if I don't.
Right. I mean,
That's
this,
that.
by the way, this is the reason why we talk about exercise and biking and stuff, because it's the best metaphor to use when it comes to climbing an uphill battle.
Absolutely.
Literally
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that, like, we're going to do a callback to our favorite book of all time, The War of Art, because it's just, it's so applicable to
By Stephen
everyday
Pressfield.
life. Yes, Stephen Pressfield, the man, the
myth, the legend.
Thank you. Yeah, but he's But resistance is so applicable to your life, and that's really the main reason I do the mountain, is because it's tangible resistance, and everything we do comes with resistance, from waking up in the morning to going to work to doing well at your job to getting along with people. Everything is resistance, and you have to find and identify it as resistance.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just to veer back to what we were talking about, we're talking about perfectionism, right? We're talking about, like, being a perfectionist is great, but the problem with being a perfectionist is there's nothing, sorry, what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. Being a perfectionist is great. However, nothing is perfect. There is no such thing as perfect.
Right. That's so true. In fact, if something was so pristine and clean, it would defy perfection because it wouldn't be authentic.
Like, for example, I have 32 rules. I have 32 rules that I try to follow.
I think you have 31
on a daily basis. No, 32. There's just one I haven't written down yet.
Oh.
One of them is don't settle. Every time you settle, you get exactly what you settled for. Obviously, we're going to go into detail about this stuff later on. We plan on doing a whole project on it. But what does that mean exactly? We're talking about perfection, being a perfectionist. Now, being a perfectionist is good to the extent that you strive for a greater outcome. However, you have to then be able to swallow your pride and say, okay, this is it. This is it. Let's see what happens. We'll extract the information of what happens, and then we'll move forward and try to work towards something greater.
So you wanna stop taking the view before you move forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, one thing, and I can't believe I'm doing this, but one thing that I enjoy about biking up Lookout Mountain, and granted it's a lot harder for me than it is for you, is the way down, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately, I'm struggling up that hill, and then I'm done, and then I switch to a playlist that's like a kind of like an amplified, like house music playlist,
right?
Like a Steve Aoki situation, and I just go down. I let the wind blow through my hair, and I just look at the view that I just conquered.
Yeah, I know, it's great. Like the whole freaking road. You can't believe you did the whole road.
Yeah, the truth is, like every time I'm up that mountain and I'm struggling, I think about, like, yeah, but you're gonna do it. You're gonna try not to stop. By the way, the last time I did it, I didn't stop once. And when you go down, you just look at everything. And the truth is, I'm gonna try to find a way to get my the best way to get my GoPro so that I could show people the view that you're seeing. Like, it's Lookout Mountain. It's the lookout of Colorado.
You should try the helmet. Probably.
Yeah, I was gonna think about doing the helmet, but the problem with the helmet is that every time I turn my head, the camera turns, and there's a lot of shakiness involved.
So you edited it out. It's gonna be a crappy edit project.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out the best way to kind of show the view that you see, so you can understand what you conquered. Like, that's why
I actually like to look at the road when on the last leg, because it's like it's like what David Goggins says in his book Can't Hurt Me. It's like a little cookie. It's like, look at that. I can do more.
Right. I mean, that's the whole idea. Is that, like, look what I did. I can do it better.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the thing. Like people are always trying to exemplify, especially entrepreneurs, anybody really. They're trying to exemplify all these people who are running the world right now, as far as, like, innovation, business, social media, being an influencer, right? And they're all trying to... The funny thing is that everybody is trying to be like those people, but for the most part, people don't understand the amount of difficulty and sacrifice it takes to be that person. You know what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. It's exactly the same thing with everything in life. It's, you look at somebody who has a nicer car than you, or whatever, but you don't appreciate what they did to get that car.
True. And
what they're doing to keep that car.
Right. I mean, well, if we go back to talking about Steve Jobs, right? Everyone's like, oh, he was a genius. He was a genius. It's not that he was a genius more than he wanted a greater purpose in life and made insane amount of sacrifices. Like, he has his kids. I'm pretty sure his kids didn't like him. He was divorced, right?
He has one estranged kid, I think.
Yeah, he had no friends. People didn't like him because he was antisocial, because he spent most of his time putting his head down and putting the work in so that he can do something great with his life. But at the end of the day, what people don't tend to realize is that it's a lonely life. If you want to do those things, you need, first and foremost, you need to cope with the idea that you're okay with being alone.
Yeah.
And that is, I'm pretty sure that's almost everybody's biggest fear.
Yeah, and I think we should touch upon jealousy here. I know I talk about it in one of my blog posts, but I'll try and keep away from the subject matter of it.
Good.
But I mean, think about this, and I think this is something that people don't think enough about. Like, let's say we go back to the nicer car situation, right? Let's say the person who's driving the car actually didn't do anything to earn the car. Let's say the person got the car for free from their parents. Right? Then, do you have a right to be jealous? I'm asking.
I mean,
because I have an answer, but I want to know what your perspective is.
if the person got the car without having to put the work in, do you have the right to be jealous? I think naturally we're jealous.
Right, okay, and I agree with that. I'm naturally jealous of people who have nice cars and didn't do anything to deserve them. But here's the thing. You know what they did to get that nice car?
Nothing.
They sold their soul.
Well, they did nothing.
Right, because that's selling your soul. If you get something without earning it, you don't appreciate it.
And you don't understand the value of hard work.
You don't understand the value of hard work. You don't appreciate it. I freaking love that our car is a crappy car.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's exactly what we earned, you know? And
it's not about the car, it's about the person driving it.
Yeah, and it's not only exactly what we earned, it's also like not worth our money or time to get a better car. It's just not. We have so many other things that we'd rather spend our money on. And that's the point.
It's all like, towards forward progression
like
as well.
When you look at somebody and they have a nicer whatever than you, or they seem to have a better, happier, more fun life, traveling the world, whatnot, everything is a sacrifice. You have to understand that everything is a sacrifice. If they got all those things for free, that's a sacrifice too, because if you get something for free, you don't enjoy it as much. It doesn't mean anything to you. Nobody cares that the sun rises every morning. That's a free gift. So, yeah, that's all. Do you want to expound on another subject? Do you think we've pretty much...
I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, like, I don't think people are actually jealous of material objects. I think because we're in the world of social media and everything like that, and everyone talks about this, so I'm not going to, like, really go into detail.
Don't beat a dead horse.
Yeah. The new drug in this world is envy.
Right.
And the truth is, when you see somebody, when you're growing up and you see that kid, that guy or that girl who's, like, got everything, they get the newest stuff, they have a nice car, you're like, damn, I wish my life could be like that, because that person's popular. Why is that person popular? Because they have everything everybody wants.
Right.
However,
they don't have friends because of who they are.
Forget that part. That's not important.
Okay.
The important part is that if they're smart enough to know, like, you can be a humble person. If you're smart enough to say, like, hey, I have all these things, but I know I don't deserve them, and I know I'm lucky. Right. If you can say that to yourself, that's a different story.
For sure.
But the truth is, like, when you look at those people, you as you get older and as time goes on, you start to feel bad for them.
Right.
Because they don't have purpose. Like, if I buy a water bottle right now, I'm like, damn, this is my water bottle. This is what hydrates me. This is exciting, right? If anyone else buys a water bottle, they're just like, it's just a damn water bottle. You understand? I mean, it's a very weird example, but
I have no idea where you went with that. Is it like for your bike or for like what? For the gym?
Oh, you're very special.
I am.
And not in a good way.
I know. Self-awareness
What I'm trying to say is that if your back is against the wall, which is something we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
Every little thing that you have that helps you in life is exciting for you.
For sure.
If you didn't have a water bottle, you wouldn't have a way to drink water.
Okay, that's better.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So when you have a water bottle, you say, this is my water bottle. It goes everywhere with me. It keeps me hydrated. It keeps me going. Right. Whereas if someone else bought a water bottle, it's like, oh, I can't find my water bottle. I guess I'll buy another one. It's nothing to them.
Right.
Whereas to someone like me, a water bottle is like an essential object that I need to have.
Sure. Yeah, I hear you. Okay. Do you want to wrap this up?
Yeah, I mean, what was the overall, what's the summary? Summarize.
Okay, so I mean, we talked about a few things. First thing we talked about was what entrepreneurship and what it means to be a successful entrepreneur, and that is being water on rock. Move around everybody else's crap.
Just keep moving.
Because everyone has crap, and something is going to rub you the wrong way, and it's just not worth your time to fixate on.
Yeah, keep moving, swallow your pride, and realize what your responsibility is and stick to it.
And the second thing we talked about was nullifying yourself, or what was your phrase? I liked your phrase.
Swallowing your pride?
Swallowing your pride, right? Don't think you're so awesome. Like, think about all the things you're not doing right. Get yourself an accountability mirror and read David Goggins' new book, Can't Hurt Me, so that you understand what we talk about when we say stuff like mental cookies and accountability mirror. And third is jealousy is waste of time, because everybody pays for everything they have, and not in the way that they would like to most of the time.
Yeah. And if you're going to be jealous, the only thing to be jealous of is something that you can pass on to generations.
The thing to be jealous of is something that you can accomplish that you're not. Be jealous of something somebody else is doing and do it better.
Yeah. If you can find somebody that gives you drive, like we were talking about, like the fact
admiration.
That,
it's not really jealousy.
We were talking about the fact that people who really, really want to do something in this world, they tend to be on their own a lot. And they find the right people to help anoint them. And the thing is if you're surrounded by people who do inadequate things, you will do inadequate things.
It's what David Pena, is that his name?
Dan Pena.
Dan Pena says, "Show me your friends and I'll show you your future."
It's absolutely true, and it's one of the hardest things you could do.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like, it's good to, the point is, it is sort of like a cliche, you are who your friends are, right? But the thing is, like, think about it like this. You are most influenced by the people that you spend the most time with.
Correct.
So if you are spending time with people who are influencing you to be mischievous, that's your life.
Also, not even influence. These people are also giving you false affirmation.
Yeah, that happens too. It happens. It's not a case by case basis. It's not like, oh, that sometimes happens. It happens always, because it's all within the value system that group has created, right? If the value system is going to the movies and playing video games and going to the bar, then that's your affirmation. Those are the things that you're going to be affirmed in. Bro, I had such a binge last night. It was awesome. Or would you want that as your affirmation? Or I just freaking pulled an all-nighter and, for work and made a bunch of money.
Well, I think they're both important, but the moderation of both of them is what's important.
No, I mean, it's just a question of which one sounds like it's better for you.
Right. The forward progression obviously sounds better.
I mean, I'm a big adversary of pulling all-nighters. I don't do it. I don't like when people do it. I think it's a terrible idea. But of course, that's just my opinion.
I do it.
Yeah, so that's what we talked about, and I hope you enjoyed and got something out of this podcast. We like to be preachy here.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, what we're talking about is the things that we're battling through as well. We just want to share that with other people.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us. This will conclude another episode. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter and
At
YouTube at
spin70
spin_70
Yeah.
is where you can follow us. I'm Shalom Makowitz.
I'm Yehuda Makowitz.
We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Not exactly.
Did you get it?
I still got it. Just go. Okay, go ahead.